Let's talk about pro wrestling, man. We had WrestleMania, huge, and everything that comes along with it. Hall of Fame, NXT, just various, WrestleMania Access, all the stuff coming out from that. Everybody's got their own opinions. We'll get into those throughout the show. But let's first do our 3Ps.
Yeah, we always now do.
Yeah.
T-Max 3Ps. Which,
all right.
You want to explain the 3Ps?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, all right.
It is to be positive about pro wrestling because typically it can get long and dragging and there's parts of it that you don't like. So then you focus on that and then you get aggravated and then you're like, this isn't fun anymore, but it's fun. It's adults play fighting in their underwear. That's always fun.
Right.
And that's how we should see it.
It's always fun when I do it.
I give you at least 3 things to be positive about. And here they are.
Mm-hmm.
P1. It was the Neville. I'm going to surprise you guys on this one, I think. It's the Neville versus Mustafa Ali match from the Raw after Mania. Do you know how good you have to be? We've seen this, that beach ball mania now. That's a thing, apparently, the night after WrestleMania at Raw, where everyone gets beach balls and they just throw them around and like, hey, we paid all this money to see pro wrestling, but a beach ball, a $4 beach ball. That's fun, right?
I did not realize this.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew what was going on, but I didn't realize this was a thing now.
Yeah, this is a thing now. Jericho even said it's beach ball mania in his promo later that night.
Right.
But
I knew there was a bunch going on there. I just didn't realize that was like the thing to do at WrestleMania or the Raw after Mania now.
Yeah, it's
great.
Dumb. But, however, here's the positive. We've seen that this has affected people in the past. Remember Randy Orton and Sheamus? Randy Orton basically just quit on the match and was like, fuck this, I'm mailing it in. But Neville and Mustafa Ali actually was like, oh, okay, we need to grab your attention, so we're going to raise the fucking bar. Yeah. And man, did they. It was probably the best 205 Live match I've ever seen. Now, granted, I haven't seen every 205 Live match, but I've seen a handful. And this one, I was like, those two guys, credit to them, because they didn't give up and just mail it in. They said, we're going to raise the bar. We're going to grab your attention. Fuck that beach ball. Pay attention to us. And goddamn did we. At least I did. I thought it was great. So be positive. Some of the wrestlers on the roster for WWE don't give up and actually put forth great effort the night after WrestleMania.
I like that. Okay, P2.
Number 2. This was from NXT TakeOver. It was the triple threat tag team match. The Authors of Pain versus DIY versus The Revival. So fun. You had the Authors of Pain looking like indestructible forces with DIY and Revival teaming up to do their finishers, but not the team doing the finishers. Like it was one guy from one team and the other guy from the other team teaming up to do one of the finishers, and then the other two guys do the other finisher.
That's cool.
It was so much fun. It was great. And the Author of Pain looked strong and menacing. And man, I love Paul Ellering as their like weird, very subtle glares and doesn't really talk a lot. And so all three of them kind of spook you out. And, the two twins, they look like goddamn, Coke machines with legs and arms walking towards you.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. And then you got DIY, who I think separate, those two guys are actually money. I like DIY. But I'm excited for them to have their own singles runs because I think Tommaso Ciampa would be a great, like, crazy guy that just like plays with his goatee and gives you the wild eyes.
Right.
And then Johnny Gargano, if that guy isn't Mr. Wheaties Box and Guy Next Door who you want your daughter to date, I don't know who is. And that guy you just push to the fucking moon. I mean, he's about, 5'7", 110 pounds soaking wet. So you just push him as the next Daniel Bryan, and he's got the good looks. He could go on the Today Show, Good Morning America, all those shows, and people will just fall in love with him and want to pinch his cheek. I think they're great. And then you got the Revival that are just, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, just right there with they're chewing tobacco in their lip, spitting in your face. They should do that, actually. That would be cool. But they're awesome. It was great. So that's my P2.
Okay.
P3 is looking towards the future, and a great move by the WWE, and it's the Superstar Shakeup. You know why? Because now we have no WrestleMania hangover, right? So we go that story had ended, right? The WrestleMania story had ended there, or the stories for WrestleMania ended there. Now you have some Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, all that kind of stuff, but now you don't know what could happen.
Yeah,
right.
Fresh.
Now, next week, everyone's up for grabs. You could have Sami Zayn go to SmackDown. You could have AJ go to Raw. You could have Seth Rollins going to SmackDown. You could have New Day going to SmackDown. You could have Luke Harper go to Raw. I mean, all that stuff.
I agree with this, and I think what works in this favor also of the non-WrestleMania hangover is the call-ups that they've done. I think it's perfect time to call up the internet darlings on that show, the Raw After Mania, because they're going to get a loud pop. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to be behind them, so the people watching at home, that's just drilled in their brain. First impression, crowd goes nuts for these people. I think they should do this shake-up every year after Mania and do these kind of like review or come-ups, as you were, for the right people. I think it was great. I agree with you. Very positive.
Yeah, I think we never say that wrestling or WWE has seasons, but I think we need to create that. I think
it does.
We need to create that.
It should.
Right, but typically it doesn't. Right, like a John Cena character before the draft just kept going. Right,
yeah.
So it was like WrestleMania. There's no difference of the WrestleMania character for John Cena than at the Payback. Right, but with this, if you throw him on a new show, now he has new allies, new rivals, new titles, and so I think you should just do night after WrestleMania to WrestleMania. That's your roster for the year. The night after WrestleMania, you draft again.
Mm-hmm. And even within that, I think they would really be smart, and I don't see that they've seemed to do this a whole lot, plan it around regular TV seasons. That's when people are in their TV watching mode. You know what I mean? Like you've got to kind of think about that, and they never seem to do that. When it's sweeps time or whatever, they just decide, let's throw the biggest spectacles we can out there, and they do a bunch of part-timers and things like that. No, you should be writing with seasons in mind. Obviously, some have to flow over, given that you're a 52-week show. But you get the idea.
And with injuries, stuff like that too. You know what I mean?
But that should be at least the root of what you're starting with.
Right, and I like the Superstar Shakeup actually a little bit more than the draft. Now that I'm thinking about it, because let's say you wanted to keep Seth Rollins on Raw, right?
Right.
Well, it would be stupid just to redraft him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the trades, like each brand gets 5 trades.
Okay.
Blah 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 blah. Like I like that.
I hadn't seen the details on this.
Well, and I haven't either. I'm just making this up.
Right.
But by saying Superstar Shakeup, I assume that it's not going to be another draft because, like I said, if you're going to keep people on the same Raw, like if you keep the Hardys on Raw, it's stupid to say, with our third pick, it's the Hardys. It's like, yeah, they're the Raw Tag Team Champions. They can't.
You would keep them,
the Raw Tag Team Champions can't be on SmackDown. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah, and they're specifically calling it Superstar Shakeup. They branded it as such, so it makes me think it's not the draft, right? It's a new trades.
Yep.